There can be no victory. The darkness always returns. Legends tell that these words were spoken by Sigmar, the first emperor. Some believe he had a vision of what was to come. But Sigmar uttered truth, not prophecy. The darkness always returns. Always. When the Skaven conquered Ubersreich, the flame of defiance guttered. The Reichland should have been lost, but heroes arose, and the Vermintide was repelled. Desperate for revenge, the Ratmen struck a pact with the barbarians of the Chaos Wastes, the worshippers of the Dark Gods. Once again, the Reichland stands upon the brink. Once again, heroes are needed. And yet, in the very hour of victory, the saviors of Ubersreich were taken, seized by the treacherous foe. With every dawn, hope fades. After all, if the greatest can fall into darkness, what chance can there be for those who remain?
Hello guys, this is Belth from Dog Shadow Gaming, bringing you a new Let's Play today. Remember, we live to game and game to live. And we are looking at Vermintide 2. Now, as I've stated many times before, I'm a big Warhammer fan. So when this came out, I actually played the first one. And not as hard as I played the second one. The second one, I think it's a big step up from the first one. And I've played a decent amount of it. Recently, I haven't played a little bit. I haven't played a lot recently, just because I've been away on my honeymoon after getting married and such things. But recently, I just got back into it the other night, and I had one of my viewers actually say you really should, do some stuff on this. I thought, okay, all right, we'll give it a shot. I won't play with others for our first episode. I think I'll just go through. I'll go through the storyline with bots and just explain sort of the storyline a little bit and just have a game. And if you like it and people, like it and I get a lot of like votes, then we'll continue on. If not, that's cool. It's a great game, really, really good. It's very similar or in the vein of the old game, some of you may remember, Left 4 Dead. Basically, it's a survival type game. It's horde mentality. It is very skill based. You've really got to. It's a game that's easy to get the hang of, but very hard to master. Anyone can pick it up and generally start playing, but to really master it takes a lot of skill. It's decision making and it's very tactical. It's also team based. However, I think we can just pull through with the three bots and myself. So give me a sec while I set this all up. As always, guys, if you like this and you want to see more of it, then do leave a like. And yeah, okay, so we'll go. So what I will do actually is I will set up. I'll go into hero selection and I'll use the knight, just someone simple. What have I got on him? Yeah. Executioner should work nicely.
If I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
even larger than
that should be right. Okay, so just first little look at the game. It is a really beautiful game, and if you're into the Warhammer lore, you just can't go past this game. A Sigmarite statue for collector's edition, pretty cool. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful game. Really, really is lovely. You're in this sort of, in the first one you were in an inn, in the second one you're in this beautiful castle, old dilapidated sort of castle, just full of really cool lore. Fantastic game. For those of you, you may have already seen clips on this and all the rest of it, that's cool. I'm just sort of talking through it for those that haven't seen it, or haven't seen a lot of it. And yeah, and we'll go through it. Again, this is more of a beginner's thing, and you know, I can do the advanced stuff, but it'll just depend on whether people actually like the game or not, and they want to do it. This is new. This has just come in the Okri's challenge, Cousin Okri, since I've been away. I was out of the game for about 2.5 months, and I had my first game back the other night. So what we're going to do here is, and again, I'm going to be a bit rusty. We're going to get in here, we'll do a custom game, start, yeah, we'll start with, we'll start with Righteous Stand. This is a pretty simple and straightforward one. We'll just do, I'm not sure what bots can handle, but we'll do Veteran just for now. I don't usually play bots, I usually just play quick matches with other people, but I can't sit there and really talk through the match with other people. I mean, I can, but it's probably easier just with bots. We won't do anything else. Strict matchmaking, no, we'll get rid of that. Private game, and we'll just head into it just like this. Yeah. As I said, guys, if you like it, then I can do a lot more of it. I do love this game. It's great fun. There's nothing better than playing Empire on Total War, Warhammer 2, and then you get the feeling after playing, you know, you use your swordsman in the front ranks, and you can literally go in here and just play it in first person. It's really cool to be able to swap between the two. Yeah, really like the fantasy stuff. Alright, so here's our team here. We got a Bright Wizard, who is basically, there's different laws of wizardry in the Empire, and I can't remember how many, 10 or 12 or something like that. Basically, this is in basic sense, this is a flame wizard, and all their abilities are flame based. Then you got the Dwarf, just here. And he's basically a tank, you know, very typical Dwarf sort of stuff. I love playing the Dwarf. And then you've got a Dark Elf, somewhere around here, wherever she is. I'm probably standing on her. Yeah, so she's a Dark Elf, basically think assassin. Each one of the characters has 3 different archetypes, which is basically different ways they could have gone in their story. So I'm playing the Knight at the moment. For Kruber, he's like the Empire, but you could also play the Mercenary or the Hunter. And it really just depends on you, what you want to do. This is a special ability. That's Kruber's special ability. Now, it has both block, which is important, and you do have to use it in this game. This is not just a hack and slash. You've really got to time your blows. And this is what I mean by you can jump in and play on a lower level. And then we're playing Veteran, so there's no friendly fire on Veteran. As soon as you go to Champ, there is friendly fire, which is, I'll tell you what, adds another big element, especially if you're playing the Bright Wizard. Because it's very easy, like she can just slice, like, go straight through us at the moment. But it certainly gets a lot more difficult if you're having a face off. And here's a chest, guys. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. So now most of my guys are fairly decently leveled, and okay, so this is a horde. So just like in Left 4 Dead, the music will cue you towards what's going to happen. So you do have to pay attention. It's not one of those games you can be sitting there rocking out with the tunes, although I have done it every now and again, but sneakily with a Slayer, getting sloshed and just going in for ham is quite fun. But generally you have to listen to the sound. You also have to watch where your swings are going and sort of time your attacks too. So you'll notice that I'm trying to get headshots. Headshots are important in this game, especially with this particular weapon. It is quite lethal. It has a wide arc of attack, so it can hit multiple targets. However, you do need headshots with it to be effective. Overheads are good, but there's timing to them, as you could see. It is quite devastating if you get an overhead with this particular weapon. Now, this is an upgraded weapon. You can tell that because it's all sort of gold and speckly. I'm just going to check on this. And then we're going to keep going. Okay, so there's like a large mob or a boss type mob. Not quite a boss mob, but it'll be a bigger mob. So just like Left 4 Dead, you have like random spawn boss mobs. Like I think you used to have the witch and all that in Left 4 Dead. This has its own, so that's one of them. It's a Chaos Warrior. Yep. There we go, so we had to block that. Okay, so that was a Strangler, which was another random generator. And there's another one there. Okay, so now in this particular game, for those who don't know, this is you've got these things that are called tomes. Now there's 3 of these, and they just increase the difficulty and give you, it's like an RNG system for rolling for loot at the end, so you don't get as many repetitive loots. So I don't mind it myself. Okay, we got a horde incoming. And so how you fight these hordes, especially as you get higher, it's not as important now because we're on veteran. But as you get higher, you really have to know where to fight a horde. So when it's coming, they will flank. And the AI obviously gets much better at flanking you and quicker in their animations as they get higher. So you'll notice that we are using high ground to our advantage. We get to hit down and they have to climb up before they can get an attack. So this is what I mean by it is a very tactical game. It's not just a hack and slasher. If you just try to hack and slash, that's fine for the very low levels. Even for this, you get away with it fairly easily. But as soon as you get to champion, which there's a fairly big difference between vet and champ, and an even bigger one between, I can't remember what the top one is. There's champion and there's, I can't remember whether it's nightmare or something like that. So you can hear, that's another random. Don't worry if you're not seeing. Now that's health. And health in this game, you really do need to be very careful about how you use it. Ammunition, health, things like these become valuable commodities. Again, you'll see a bit of it here, but this is the only veteran. This is the second level up. Notice you can hear him in the background. He's singing away. Now these are Chaos. These are Chaos of Nurgle, and he's the Chaos god of disease and pestilence. And also, I think in a weird way, kind of set up with life, as you know, there's the cycle of life. You know, things die and that sort of stuff, but not rebirth as such. Now, see how I lost my tomb there? So pick it back up. So,
you'd notice a scar through that beard of yours.
okay, so again here, if we stay in the middle here, we're going to get surrounded, right? We do have high ground, but it's not far for them to go. So, depending on, like, if you're at high levels, you'll see that you'll change positions again. But generally, there we go, there's a Blightstormer. Well. Okay, so we got that one. Oh, Skaven. Okay, these are the Ratman. These are some of the best characters in any fantasy, and I'm a pretty big fantasy fan. I love fantasy. Grew up on Lord of the Rings, and you know, lately into the mech warrior stuff as well. Okay, so see how he's shielded. So we're going to try and hit him in the head there. Oh. Okay, that'll end that. You notice how I'm also, if I can't see, I'm also blocking. Yeah, I'm very, I'm quite rusty at the moment. What we're waiting for here is there gates behind me that are opening. So what I love about this game is it's not just a hack and slasher. I love games that are easy to pick up but hard to master and take a bit of practice and skill, and this is definitely one of those. I really don't usually play first-person shooters and first-person things like that. But this particular game just adds such an amazing storyline with it, with the lore of the Warhammer universe, and then the fantasy rolled into that of being the Warhammer universe is very lore-rich. And then this game just adds just perfectly the right amount of balance between survival, tactics, and strategy. It's a really, really top game. If you haven't tried it, then I totally recommend it. Remember that it does take a little practice. It takes some work. Okay. Did well there. Okay, I'm about to show you the next part. We'll just pick up one of them. I shouldn't really probably pick it up with bots with me, but let's see if I can get it. Okay, so that thing I just picked up is a Grim, and this ups the difficulty level pretty substantially. You'll notice it also drops my health level, how much health I can have. Where are you? Got him. Yeah. So it might look like I'm doing this pretty easy with bots. I do have a lot of my guys are fairly well geared. I have been playing for a while. That's a bomb. We're going to use that later, and I'll show you how fun that is. So yeah, so the guys are pretty well. I'm going to tell our guys to try and pick that up. Yep. Yep. Okay, here we go. We got a horde incoming. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit here, and we're going to let them come at us either over here or there, and keep an eye out behind us. This funnels them. And funneling is really important, especially in the higher levels. As I said, right now, not that important, but up in the higher levels, funneling is really important. I can tell you this, if you ever played the old Left 4 Dead and you enjoyed it, then you will love this game, because it's very, very similar. So, we've got this, and that was a waste of my special.
Healing draft! Tom, gift a healing draft!
This, that's the, that's our glorious,
Here we are.
I'm going to take this and I'll just use that quickly just to top off.
One-man mission to destroy our supplies, Mark.
Yeah, the back and forth between them is quite hilarious.
Hear that? The stomping great.
Okie dokie.
Ocean cash.
Got that. Yeah, here we go. That was a good crit. Okay. Now, one of the other things is you can't, what I love about this game too, is if you try to do like lone wolf crap, if you just try to run off on your own and you don't really care about anybody else and you don't know how to play as a team, you will not do well in this game. You'll do fine in the really low level, but if you want to, like, to get to champion in that, it is absolutely imperative. Here we go, we got a troll. It's absolutely imperative that you learn how to fight as a team, because if you run off by yourself, what it does is it'll randomly spawn. If you get too far away, it'll randomly spawn one of those specials, usually an assassin or this guy, the hook rat. Right, just to take you out. It's like, and what I love about it is it teaches you, you got to play together. Okay. So you notice how I was sort of juking there? I was running around. Alright, and it's coming from behind. So I'm pulling back here. Now if you're with a team, what you'd be wanting, that was the wrong... you'd be wanting to get in that door and funnel them through. So we're just tactically retreating here, backwards, slowly bit by bit. I'm going to pull my guys in this door. Here they go. Now I know I'm making it look fairly easy, but if you first start the game it won't be this easy, trust me. Just learning how to swing and getting the motions of the sword, a bit like having a real sword I suppose, becomes very important. Now I'm not going to be able to get the book, there is another book down there, but they don't pick them up because they're bots, generally speaking. So we're just going to keep going.
The one bit of good craft in this book, and it's in our way.
So Kruber's special ability is this. And how you might think, oh yeah, it's fairly straightforward, and it is, but when you use it and how you use it becomes very critical to, I mean, you'll notice that I used it to charge the troll before I knock him as he was trying to throw up, and it sort of interrupted his attack and put him off, so we were able to finish him quicker. So things like that are very important, knowing the timing of how to use your specials. Other reasons are, I mean, you might want to be trying to get one of your teammates, once they take enough damage they go down on one knee, and if you don't get to them quick enough they will just get surrounded, smashed and killed. So, you know, using Kruber in this way to bully your way through and then get them back up on their feet can be quite effective. So we're just gonna remember, this is also the first level. But look at it, it's just awesome.
Can you not see this is the path?
The guys who created this are massive Warhammer fans, like big Warhammer fans. They basically play Warhammer, the actual tabletop, during their lunch breaks. They have a tabletop at their studios, and they play during their lunch break. So they're massive fans, and it's just come through so well in the game. I haven't played a lot of the tabletop, a little bit when I was a kid, but mostly I've read the books, and they're just so good. The lore is amazing. Actually, I was listening to Arch Warhammer today, who's one of my favourite. He does a lot of lore, not as much lately, but he does a lot of lore, and he actually had a Markiplier on there today, who's also a fan of the books and the lore, which was something I didn't expect. But there are so many closet Warhammer fans now. Well, I think he was more 40k, but they're both excellent. Okay, so you hear we had one there. I was looking for it, but they got it. Let's say AI is doing quite well. Alright, so up here will be, yeah. We've got some ammo. So you've got to, as I said, you've got to watch your ammo. You've also got to make sure you've got, can't tell you how many times I've used the gun, popped it away quickly in a, you know, trying to get back into the game, and then when I need it and I pull it out quickly to fire it, we're gonna, it's, bugger, it's empty. Ah, shit. And that's what I'm talking about there. Like, okay, so this is a well, somehow I'm gonna, here we go. Alright, so I deliberately did this one. These are the storm vermin, which are kind of like the elites of the rats. You saw... One of our guys has been...
We have many fools to burn and
Okay, they got to him. So that was a good fight. Never really got out of control. There's so many clutch moments in this game, like you just get through on a sliver of health. And look at this. I mean, how cool is that? Helmgart burning. Now this is based on the end times, which is basically, unfortunately, how Games Workshop sort of killed this off, because this is their old brand, the Warhammer universe, the fantasy one is their old brand. They've got a new one, Sigmarite or whatever it was. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's not bad, but it's a bit kiddie for me. Like this is the grimdark sort of stuff, and that's the way I think it distinguishes itself from other fantasies. I mean, essentially you've got dwarves, men, elves, goblins, orcs, you know, sort of chaotic blokes. I wonder if I can get... Yep, excellent. Could have got them to pick up the other one, doesn't matter. Hello. How about it take you first? Okay, so you hear that gasp? That was definitely a gas rat. Okay, so you notice how I put it away then before it reloaded? That's what I'm talking about. You gotta be... You've got to be somewhat careful.
Yeah, can't help what you thought. Come on! I have a message from Osprey for you.
Okay. So layering is important too, especially at the higher levels. I mean, I'm just sort of blowing through this, but when you get to the higher levels, what's very important is to use someone like your tank. Like the dwarf is a natural tank. Also, what's beautiful about a dwarf tank, and not in the typical sense of like, oh, there you go, almost got done by an assassin. Not in the typical sense of like a Warhammer, World of Warcraft tank where he sort of just stands there and takes everything. In some senses, yes, but they also have like shield bash and other bits and pieces. You'll notice my dwarf has an axe and a shield. They're not great. They're much more effective in the first one than this one. They need a buff really to bring it back a bit. But you know, like getting into a hallway, getting the dwarf up with the shield in front of him, and then you as the taller empire over top, you can pretty much just swing over the top of him and decapitate stuff. Alright, so this is the end here of the first, I suppose, level. This is a pretty good fun fight. Okay, we've got a witch coming in. I love how it's been set up so well, just like it, you know, you used to get that feeling when you'd be playing Left 4 Dead and you'd hear the witch scream and you'd just panic, you just go shit, and you'd run. You know, because you wouldn't see her until she was right on top of you. You got like the Juggernaut and that. Okay, I did that again actually. Now, I'm not even dodging yet. You can dodge. I don't need to at the moment, but you can. The character I'm using isn't... I mean, it is a dodgy character, but not as much as... Oh. Ah, see that? See how I didn't let it reload. So when I needed it and I pulled it out, I copped it. Now, if I was on a higher level, that just would have been death. Okay, where's that? Oh, here it is. They have really funny, if you listen to it, they have quite funny dialogue between the two of them. Yeah, in the lore, the dwarves and the elves, I mean, it's typical, dwarves and elves they don't hate each other, but they're not a big fan of each other either. They get a little shit. One bullet left. Now, just because you're playing mage doesn't mean that you have to just like deal with specials, although they're very good at it. They can also be spec'd into like dealing with the chaff, really. They can be spec'd into melee focus or range focus. Usually, in typical mage fashion, they are a ranged dealer. But can be both. I mean, they can even put them into melee, but then I don't think they're amazing at it. There are specs that really beef their melee up. Actually, they have some pretty interesting specs with one of the classes, the battle mage and a knife, which makes you basically really fast, like the elf here. Cool. Just love how epic and like movie-like all the battles are. Thematic, I believe they call it. Been watching too much Turin, I think. And that's it. So that's the end of one of the first levels, and as you saw, there's a 3-prong of levels. So there's quite a lot of different levels. But that gives you a basic understanding of the game and a bit of a look into it. You've probably already seen it, but if you haven't, that's just a quick run on Veteran with bots. Nothing too massive, nothing to blow your mind. You know, if you like it, and you know, as I said, if we get some likes and people think it's good, then I'll put some more up and I'll start playing quick matches and stuff and show you a little bit more about the game. It's a bit tougher for me because I normally don't talk unless I'm communicating with my teammates. So for me to chat about it while playing it is a little bit different than just focusing on the game and playing it. And this is like most RPG games. It's or you know, first-person shooter type games. You know, it's reflexes and it is concentration. So it's a bit harder to talk and concentrate. But anyway, I really hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed this first clip, and as I said, if it's popular and people like it, then I'll play some more and put them up on the channel. I plan to put up more Warhammer stuff, so if you're a Warhammer fan, then tune in and have fun. Strategy, Warhammer, I'll still play like Jurassic Park and Vampire, or Vampire, however you want to say it. So once you finish things, you get these. Now these are your rewards, and depending on how well you go, it'll stack up that way. And these different chests, so that was a veteran, right? So open it, and then there's a random chance of what it holds. So crappy white, blue, and then another white. So nothing major. You know what? I'm not even going to bother. This is a commendation chest. And then so you've got, you know, white, green, blue, orange. That's an executioner, so it's orange. I've already got a better one. And that's a bow. It's an orange bow, but I've actually got a better one already. So this is just sort of trash for me. There is crafting in the game as well, which is cool. You don't get all of this. This is a couple matches I've done. I just haven't opened chests. And there's also leveling, so I'll take you through that real quick before we go. So you've got your character, you've got equipment, and you can equip them with different things. I've got a couple of reds because I have been playing for a little while. Just trinkets, nothing. I haven't got a red item. Reds actually are quite cool. They do glowing blue ruins and things on them. And there's different outfits you can pick up and things like that, which is cool. So you can really customize and really get into the role play of this game, which is amazing if you love it. So you've got equipment, stars just saying I've got something new. Then you've got talent, so you can talent out. So you can really sort of play the game you want to play with each character. And then you've got crafting systems, so like I'll pop that in there. What illusion is that? Yeah, it's a crap one. And that, and that, and that, and that, because it's just rubbish. And that one too. We'll salvage it. And that gives me parts so that I can then craft things. So I can go into crafting, I can grab a pattern, so I could do a hammer here, pop the hammer in, and then I can craft a hammer with a, and it'll have a chance to turn out. So we got a blue at 300. Those properties on there, you see 7% versus chaos, so that, again, that's more specking, and you can then re-roll those as well to try and get better specs, which is cool. You've got cosmetics, so like I've got the collector's frame on because I bought the collector's edition. You got a hat. I haven't got any extra ones because they were very, very rare when I was playing. And I think there's been a patch since I've been playing because I'm seeing more people with more skins recently. But this is, yeah. And then you've got hero power, which is, that's probably something I'll leave for the next clip if everyone likes it. So yeah, really quickly I'll go through the classes to give you guys an idea of the different classes. So you've now seen the knight. This is sort of the heavy defensive version of the Empire. So the Empire Man or Empire Swordsman, they're actually called. But this is the Empire Knight, this one's called. And we'll go into hero selection. So Empire Swordsman, you've got, Foot Knight, Marcus Kruber. He's funny as. I love the massage. So his ability is his protective presence, so damage resistance aura. Marcus charges forward, slamming into, that's what you saw. Then he's got Huntsman. So this guy's all about range. This guy's deadly. Specced properly, he just does mass amounts of damage. Very, very good. Very good for single target. It's just a sniper. So ranged headshots recover 1 ammunition. So if you again, those headshots are important. For those of you that might be playing this on Xbox, I'm playing it currently on PC, but I also have this on Xbox. The game is actually a lot tougher on Xbox because the PC with a mouse and keyboard, obviously, as everyone knows, is just quicker. And also easier to get the accuracy if you want to be a sniper, and sniping and headshots are important in this game. You can, however, be a fantastic player on Xbox, and there's a really good community of players on Xbox. So if you do have an Xbox and you don't have a PC, don't worry. It is a great game to play on Xbox as well. My count's probably as good as my count here. Hunter's Prowl. Marcus disappears from sight for a brief period, allowing him to ambush. So he's got like a stealth ability, which is really cool. This is the mercenary ability, which is very similar to the knights. It's not as tanky, and this is basically meant to be his tank build. This one's more damage, and this is another popular one. Hit 3 enemies in one swing, grants 10% increased attack speed for 6 seconds. Now you can imagine if you're using something big, that's the halberd you're seeing with him in there. Here he's got the halberd on. If you're using something really big, and the bigger the item, like weight and size make a difference in this, and this is where the skill level comes in. Yes, 2 knives are quick and you can do a lot of damage if you're moving, but they have very little block, and the reach isn't great. And they're quick, but they don't do nearly as much damage as something much bigger, which is your natural, role-playing elements, heavy maces, all that sort of stuff, the normal stuff. If you're a role player and you love this fantasy stuff, it's not going to be anything that you're not going to be used to or not understand, but you are going to need to master those. So this comes into its own because if you're swinging, you can see how this horde's coming at him. He's getting that swing. That ups his speed, so that's a big buff if you're swinging something like I was just swinging. Marcus grants nearby allies temporary health and staggers nearby enemies. Now you can change this. This is part of it. This is a moral boost. It sort of does a shout. But you can actually chain this where anybody around you that's down on one knee, you can actually call and instantly put them back up, which is, that can save a team that's down. And quite often as Kruber, you are one of the last to go down because you're quite heavily armored. So that's 3 for the Empire, the mercenary, the Empire. Then you got the dwarves. So you start off with the ranger, which is kind of his sniper, his ranged ability. Now it's still a dwarf, so understand. Barden deploys a smoke bomb that conceals him for. So again, this is your assassin-y sort of as assassiny as a dwarf gets, basically. The rangers are as stealthy as a dwarf gets, which isn't very stealthy. He's pretty good. He can be quite strong. He's not generally a pick most people would go for. Most people playing dwarf will either play the Ironbreaker, which is literally the heaviest tank in the game. This is the most forgiving, and I recommend new players to the game to really use the dwarf. The most forgiving character. Completely absorbs one hit every 20 seconds. It's massive, especially when you're talking, you've got 20, 30 guys on you. This guy can outlast and out-tank almost anything. He's very, very good. Barden taunts all nearby men. So this is his full tank spec, so this is basically a taunt. And this is really helpful if you've got a team member down, or you just want to back yourself into a corner, even to allow one of your teammates, maybe one of your teammates have gone down and you want to call the horde onto you and redirect it onto you. You back into a corner and just put your shield out in front of you, and then allow your teammates to get to your other teammate to get them back up again. So really, tactically used, a very, very important character. Now, this guy is awesome, and he's very popular with experienced players. He does take, I personally think this guy is one of the most hardest characters to play, and takes a lot of experience to do right. Anybody can jump in with him, but to do it right, you think glass cannon, because it's basically what he is. He's full berserk, and so stacking damage buff on hitting an enemy. So he can just go Burko, either dual axes, which is very short range, but can do mass damage. But you really got to learn how to block with this guy. So if you don't know how to block, don't even bother using him. You're just going to take so much damage that you're going to run through the health of your team. And in higher levels, it really becomes an outlast system. It's not you're getting the hordes, but you've really got to duke it out with them. You got Roger there, or that's what they call the Rat Ogre. Rat Ogre's cool. They call him Roger. So Barden leaps forward to stun a target and gains a brief burst of attack speed. So think of this guy as just really fast, and really, you have to be very precise with him, and you have to be very aware of what's happening around you, because you're just carrying 0 armor. So he's called a Slayer. Slayers are awesome, and especially in the lore. If you know the lore at all, Slayers rock. They're like the rock legends of the Warhammer world for most people. I love them. I seriously was considering when we're doing dwarves, doing the if you've been watching my Warhammer 2, then this guy's a Slayer. So I can't remember his name now. Anyway, there's the Slayer King in there, and that's the same thing. Now this is your elf. It's for all you elf players who like to play stealthy and ranged and that. So the first one, there's only one that's really melee based, and that's this one. And this is the Handmaiden, who is really sort of spear orientated, very quick moving. It's dodge and weave, poke, dodge and weave, poke, dodge and weave. Yeah, it's not there's no tank on this typical elf fashion. This is really your ranged character. It's very much about range damage here. Not so much stealth, but just range. And then you've got your assassin, which we were using before. Dual weapon usually, although the glaive works really well, which is kind of a two-handed axe if you know how to use it and you get your timing right. But this is a backstab character. So critical hits, backstabs instantly slay man-sized enemies. So if you get behind something, you're going to destroy it. Career skill, so infiltrate, so Carillion becomes undetectable and pass through enemies, lasts for 10 seconds. So this is an awesome ability, because it basically, with the right buffs, you can just stealth up behind bosses and just gank the hell out of them. You can do mass damage. You'll notice I was with Gruber, I was overhead slamming him, and I was usually taking about 2 hits. On that level, with a geared person, you just saw that there, her charge attack from behind from stealth, just 1 hit down. Even in champ, it was probably 2-3 hits. So very, very strong, especially if geared properly. Amazing. However, squishy as hell. Really, really, just like the Slayer, you've got to be really aware of where you are and what you're doing. You need to know how to move, and you need to know how to dodge. This character, it's speed and it's elegance, and it's the pure elf, isn't it? Now, this is one that you didn't see. This is a witch hunter captain. These are the Inquisition, basically. Well, they're not. They are not basically. They are. They're Inquisitors in the fantasy world. So there's Inquisitors in the 40k world, and these are the Inquisitors. So they're another part of the human faction. And the first one is the witch hunter captain. He's all right. Tags enemies for additional damage and pushes back enemies to boost nearby allies' critical chance. So, yeah, not bad. Not many people playing him. I don't know if there's been any updates for him, but he's, yeah. Now, this is the bounty hunter. Now, this guy is just all range, all damage. He gets big boost, guaranteed range, critical hit every 10 seconds, locked and loaded. When this guy first came out, everybody played the bounty hunter. He does look pretty cool as well. Great character, really, really good. I enjoy playing him. He is good if you're using the Falcon in close range, or was as part of the meta when I was playing a lot. Great character, loads of fun. But again, each different character plays differently, and like he plays completely different. Even if you're playing his stealth character, you don't play it the same necessarily as this particular stealth character. They're very different. So it's not like the same of each. They do have kind of the same archetypes, but they can all fit different roles. It means that you can play whatever class you like, but you can play it in a different way, which I love it. It really allows you to really play the way you want to play and really get into the role. So that's him. Next one is basically is Fanatic. They're called Zealots, right? And these are the Sigmarite Zealots. Now, if you've read any of the lore, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. If you haven't, they're Zealots. There's not much else to say. So power increased by 5% every 25 health missing. So think of like... usually they have like berserkers or whatever. The more damage you take, the more damage they do. In a game where mitigation and outlasting the hordes and all the rest of it, and trying to use the least amount of health, because really that's what helps your team and your party get through more than anything. It's all very well to run in and be a hero in this game, but people won't put up with it for very long, because you'll just be blowing through the health, which leaves nothing for everybody else. Those people that are good barely use health in this game. They mitigate damage really, really well. So that's the core of the game. The core of the game is not to kill all the Skaven. The core of the game is to survive through them all. So charges forward and gains 25% increased attack speed for 5 seconds. I really don't like this guy. I think he's probably one of the most, was up until 2 months ago, one of the most underused characters. You rarely see him used. A good player can do well with him, but again, all of his abilities are based on you taking damage, which is the last thing you want to do in this game. It's the opposite of what you want to do. But yeah, anyway, I have seen good players with him though. Now, this is one of my personal faves. I love the Bright Flame. I'm a wizard boy, so just for those people who are watching the channel, you're going to get a lot of fantasy, and when I am playing fantasy, I am more than likely going to play the mage, just mages for the win. Now, this is one of the major things that got me into the Warhammer was Mark of Chaos, which I actually really liked. Some people didn't like it, but I really liked it. I thought it was a great game. It had the first, it was just a tactical game, much like any of the other sort of ones of the time. But what was really cool about it is that when you are fighting on the battlefield, if you got your hero near the other team's hero, unlike... so like if you're playing Warhammer, if you watch the Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 1 stuff, two heroes can duel, but they can also run off from each other. What would happen in that one is you could actually challenge the other champion, and you could actually fight that champion to death. And if you won the duel, I can't remember whether it ended the entire thing or not, or it just like massively shook. And all the troops would then circle around the two lords and you would then fight it out. You'd have to, and there was like different buttons that you had to push. So it wasn't just like you just sat there like on Warhammer and you watched them attack each other. You actually had to be part of it. Like you had to, it would go into almost like a bird's eye view, but you had different abilities that you could use, and depending on how you timed those abilities and what you did, it was just really cool. I wish they had something like that in Warhammer. In Total War, because it was just fantastic. It really added another layer of depth to the game and broke up just the throwing armies against each other sort of strategy, which was cool. But anyway, in that game, you had a Bright Wizard as one of the characters, and I loved it. It was so cool watching him burn up hordes. Anyway, this one's Sienna, and you've basically, so you've got Battle Wizard, which is your more, in some way, it's really weird. It's kind of a hybrid between a ranged and melee character. You've got the Pyromancer, which is pretty much just your ranged character. This is your Duca. She has a great, so increased critical strike chance based on overcharge level. So this one character, like unlike the others, has like a danger meter. You can't just spam out magic. You overheat as such. So you've got a heat gauge you've got to watch, otherwise you explode and lose all your health, which is very tough at first. Once you get a hang of controlling it and understanding it, again, there's a learning curve to it. You'll just keep blowing up it when you first start using it. Sienna unleashes a fiery projectile that seeks out her foes. She's actually got a heat seeker, which is very effective, especially lower levels. Up, I would say up until even champion to some degree, her heat seeker is amazing at taking out those specials, especially from range when you can't get at them. And then you've got the Unchained. Now this is her story or arc where she just loses the plot and just loses full control of it. Akshi, who is the god or the Empire's sort of god of fire, I suppose, loses it. And she just loses it to it. So the whole point is that fire is uncontrollable and, this sort of thing. And so she follows it. So it's very fiery. And this is what it is. And it's a very physical, it's flat out. So if this is a hybrid, that's range. This is the physical build. And it is quite difficult. As you take damage with this one, it's kind of more tanky and not at the same time, because as you take damage, it actually, instead of taking your life, it fills up your heat bar and then you've got to release it. So there's a bit of micro with it. If you can do it, it can be amazing, because as you saw, she just let it out and exploded all around us. It gives you an AoE. However, on higher levels, you've got your mates around you and it damages them as well. So you've got to be careful with it. And if you're not watching it, you say you take 5 or 6 hits and you haven't been blocking, you can just explode and take all your life with you. It's a good one. It's a good one, but it does take a lot of skill. Usually the last in each class is the last one that you get. You have to unlock these as you go through their levels, and they're usually the hardest to master. I wouldn't say so with the Knight, but all the rest, definitely. The hardest class is always the last one that you get to master. So those are the classes, guys. You've seen the first level. This is a little bit on the game. If you've already seen this before, I hope I haven't bored you too much. Maybe you've enjoyed me rambling on and just talking a little bit of lore and a little bit of this and that. Again, I'm not amazing with the lore. I've read a fair bit of it, but I don't have the memory to bring every little thing back. Again, if you want lore, if you're really interested in this, then I highly recommend channels like the Grimdark Narrator, the Inept General, definitely Arch Warhammer. He's got some really good stuff and he knows his stuff. He's very passionate about it. But that's just to name a few. There's 40k theories. There's lots of them. So you'll get it on there anyway. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do want to see more, then please leave likes so that I know that it's worth pursuing. And yeah, we'll have a look at some other Warhammer games in the near future. Thanks very much. Talk to you later. Bye.